And we're back. So, just a little bit of a soothing painting video. I'm just going to do the legs. And you can see I did this, I showed you this before. Before I start using any brush, I always pull apart the bristles. This, if there's any loose bristles in here, this will help get them out. That's why I do that. I think I told you that last time, but just in case I didn't. Okay, and this time we're going to wet the brush because I noticed that this Silk All-in-One Mineral Paint. Here, wait. There we go. Dixie Silk All-in-One Mineral Paint. I notice it dries really quick, so I'm going to use my mister this time. And I already stirred this. I pre-stirred. Okay. We're just doing a base coat, so I'm not really super concerned with coverage, although this has really good coverage here. I'll show you in a minute. Okay, yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. Wow. Here, I'm going to show you. That coverage. It's freaking fantastic, actually. A lot of people say they don't like painting legs. I actually really do. I didn't at first, but I really do. I like painting like legs and spindles and little fiddly bits. A lot of people don't, which I think is because they feel like they miss places. And the idea here is you just kind of want to get yourself into a habit of doing it in a pattern. And when you're in the habit of, oh wow, God, this paint is so amazing. When you're in the habit of doing it in a pattern, that'll make it a lot easier not to miss bits. It's really good coverage for a first coat, it really is. Now you'll notice like I kind of go both directions. This is what helps minimize brush strokes. You'll notice that kind of towards the end, I kind of go back and forth. That and a light touch helps minimize brush strokes. We're also going to do a little tiny bit of sanding between coats with our sanding sponge, and I'll show you that part also. But this is step one of avoiding brush strokes. Is don't just go in one direction and have a light touch. Don't overwork it too. I just overworked that a tiny little bit. You can't really see it, but I just overworked it a tiny little bit, so there's a little bit of brush strokes on there. But yeah, no, this paint is amazing. I'm so excited about it. I'm just using like a little bit at a time. With premium paints, a little does go a long way. A lot of people marvel at the cost of a premium paint, and I get that. It's daunting at first. You think to yourself, oh my, what if I spill it? Oh, whatever. And I get it. It's daunting. You don't want to spend that kind of money on something and then not completely love it. One reason why I do, though, is because this paint is got high quality. And the quality is such that I don't need to use a lot of paint to get perfect coverage. And honestly, it goes a long way. Like this jar, this 16-ounce jar of this Oyster color is probably going to do 4 projects, 3 or 4 projects of about the same size. And so I'm super excited about that. Okay. Just don't be afraid of your paint. Don't be afraid of your brush strokes. Just paint. One of the reasons why people say that this is so therapeutic is, I mean, really just watch it. It's so amazing to just see this color changing. And look at the prettiness, the subtle reaction between the paint as it starts to dry, as it starts to adhere to your piece. It's a really, really therapeutic, mesmerizing kind of thing. I'll probably speed these silent parts up in post. There's no smell either, at least not one that I can smell from this paint, which is nice. I really love that about Dixie Belle. They are very low VOC, and it's actually, I mean, obviously I'm painting inside, but I've never I never thought that that it was unsafe, and it's not. A lot of people do it. I mean, it's been tested. Another thing I like about these paints, the low VOC thing. If I had to take this outside and do this, I don't think I had to lug all these pieces of furniture outside and then lug them back somewhere to where that they could dry and then lug them all around. I don't think I would do this. That would be too much. I like to set out my project on either piano movers, if it's a big one, or one of these little rolling project holders that I have. I have a couple of these. Or sawhorses. I sometimes set things up on. It depends on the size. But I like to set up my project and then leave it there until I'm done. So I set up my project and my lighting, and I just leave it there until I am done. And all of my, project-friendly surfaces have legs, or have wheels rather, so that I can move things around as I'm doing it. I'm not moving this around so much as I'm doing it. I'm moving myself around, which is actually not the way I normally do things. But the camera's in the way. Which is fine. I don't mind it. The only thing is you can't see it, but you will. I'll figure out, you know, when I flip it back over, you'll see a lot more of this process. I just kind of thought you'd want to see how quickly it takes, and I will, even though I might speed it up when I post it, I'm still going to tell you how long it took to get this coverage and how long the paint took to where it was dry to the touch also. Just because this is a learning experience for both of us, and so, because this is my first time using it, and I love this stuff. It's freaking fantastic, seriously. The coverage is good, it dries really fast, but you can, you know, you can spray it and rework it just like Dixie Belle's chalk paint. Yeah, I really love this stuff. It's great. Getting inside these nooks and crannies is always a fun little challenge. I'm only using this one brush for the base coat, but when I go in and do the next coat, we're gonna cut in and make sure everything is perfectly, you know, that there's a definite edge. I haven't quite decided exactly what sort of a definite edge I'm going to use. I think what I usually do is I paint just the underside, but not the inside, if that makes sense. Sometimes I do paint the inside though. There was one Armoire that I just felt it needed the inside painted as well, so I painted the inside as well. But this one is fine. This one looks fine as it is. Yeah. So that's what I usually do. A lot of people ask, you know, do you paint the whole underside? Depends on the piece. It really does. Like, if the whole underside needs to be refinished, I refinish it in some manner. If it doesn't, if it looks fine as is, then I tend to not. This one has some glue marks and things like that from how it was put together that I'm not loving, actually, but paint isn't going to make that look any better. It's just going to look like paint over glue marks. So I'm thinking about whether or not I want to sand them down or not. We'll see. I haven't quite decided that particular thing. Okay. All right. So now the base and this bottom part. Oh yeah, that's something that people often forget. You see this like little bottom lip here? Just kind of try to make sure that you get that at least touched up and coated. And when we flip it over and we're doing the parts that are more facing upward, you'll notice what I do to it, because if you're not careful, you'll get little drips that kind of go underneath there. And you just have to be careful to avoid them and spread them out when the paint is still wet. Now we're going to be doing some, this is our base coat. This Oyster is our base coat. But once we get this Oyster the way we want it, to where it shows through what we're doing, the rest of the things that we're doing to it, it looks nice. We're also going to do on top of the Oyster some blending and painterly effects. Like Bohemian style painterly effects. You'll see what I mean when we do it. But I am going to do one more coat of this just to smooth and even everything out, because you can kind of see like it's really not bad for a first coat. It's really not, yeah. But you can kind of see there's a little bit of brush strokiness. And that's fine. It's the first coat. Like, if there wasn't any, I would be incredibly surprised. All right. So we're just going to come around, finish up these finish up the little dabbing these top edges. The mister that, when I'm doing the mister like that, I'm just activating the paint on my brush so it doesn't dry on my brush. It also helps, any paint that's in my brush, it'll help bring it out and make it so that you're not wasting it, which again is an important thing when you are spending, you know, $20-something for 16 ounces of paint. That's an important thing. Now, I don't always use premium paints, and we're going to have some videos on that as well. I don't always use premium paints. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It really depends on the look I'm going for and the amount of effort I want to put into it. And whether or not they have a color I want, or whether or not I want to try something. Like, I have been excited to try these silk paints. I've had them. I've had the 2 jars of silk for a while. But I've been working on other projects, and I don't have tons and tons of space. I wish I did. It'd be great. But I don't have tons and tons of space, so I try not to have more than a few projects going at the same time. It doesn't work. Trust me on this. It doesn't work. I'm always starting a new project. I gotta be in my bonnet, and I'm like, ooh, I gotta see what this was gonna look like. Hang on, I just do the base coat. It'll be all right. And yeah, so that's a thing that happens on definitely a frequent basis. But I do try to finish things. I only have a set amount of, like I was telling you about my painting services, I only have a set amount of those. And so once those are filled, no more new projects. And that's how I end up policing that. Okay, so our base coat's done. Our first coat is done, and yeah, I can see it's already started to dry. Like, if I want to come in here and do the next coat, I can, and I might actually, because it's already dry to the touch. And you can tell it feels cold to the touch, or in any way tacky. It's not dry. I'm probably going to just give this an hour, though, first, before redoing it. Just because I like to do things the correct way the first time. And then start making my own remixes on things. And so I'm gonna let this dry for, let's see what it says here. Does it actually say on here? Doesn't. I'm going to look it up and see what the manufacturer recommends, and I'm going to let it dry for that amount of time. And then after that, we're going to come in and we're going to do the other coat. We're going to do a light sanding between, and then the other coat, and then we'll flip it over and we'll start the main body, and that'll be what we do. Okay. Thanks for watching. Bye.